Welcome to the Better Earth Podcast. I'm your host, Ty Rukarian, with my co-host, Trace Rukarian, and our very special guest, President of Sales, Mikey Cavaleri. Mikey, what's up, man? Welcome.
Nothing much. It's good to be on with the Rukarian brothers. Appreciate you guys having me back on the show.
Yeah, we did a little podcasting the other day. It was a little more directed towards our internal team and recruiting and what we got going on here into 2022. But today, it's more about you. We're going to go through kind of the Mikey Cavaleri story, what you do outside of Better Earth, what your goals are, and hopefully learn some things because you're a pretty interesting dude from the Mikey that I think we know, but hopefully we'll learn a little bit more here today.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm just absolutely stoked that we're kicking off the podcast again. It's been a while, and I think this will be the first kind of Redux episode, and then we'll start doing these a lot more often, which I'm very excited for. Mikey, but let's break it down, man. What's up?
Nothing, man. We're in Tampa. It's good to be here. We're in the studio. This is something we've been dreaming and talking about doing for a while, so we're doing it official here. So I'm excited to be on more podcasts. I'm excited to get some questions and get this thing rolling.
Yeah, we did a little bit the other day where we kind of went through, sales, recruiting, solar in general, but kind of walking it way back, because the one way I like to introduce you, along with other people on our team, is we're always like, talking to new people. It's like, hey, this is actually the young Adam Sandler from the movie Grown Ups. Walk it all the way back then, because you started out as a little movie star in Boston. You're doing all sorts of other stuff. You still flash your card and while we're in Hollywood. Take us back to then and give us how'd you get started, man?
Yeah, so I was 13, I think 12. My friend's sister that I grew up with, I played basketball with him, was a basketball player, played most sports growing up, and she was going to school to be an actress or something in film, and there was an email that she got about roles for the movie Grown Ups, and they needed actors to play young versions of them. So there was Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, Kevin James, David Spade, Robert Schneider, and I had really curly hair, and not anymore, but you can see it a little bit, it's growing back, but really curly hair, braces, and I guess I looked like a young Adam Sandler, and if you've seen the movie Grown Ups, there's the basketball scene, so you also had to play basketball, and they told me about it, and something that my dad got an email about, showed it to me one day, and it was me, him, and my mom looking at it. My mom was like, oh, I don't know, being in a movie, and my dad was more like, yeah, well, screw it, go for it. So might as well try out. And I was like, all right. So we pulled me out of school early. I did a tryout, and then I didn't hear back for like 3 to 4 months. But I had told all my friends I was doing it. You know how it is in middle school. You get bullied a lot. And everybody was like, oh, what happened to you being in that movie? And then all of a sudden I got called back a second time to do a speaking role. And then I thought I had it then. I was like, oh, I got this in the bag. Like there was a group of kids. They said I was down to the wire, and then I didn't hear back again for a couple of months. So I thought there's no chance I got this movie role. And then I ended up being actually in the basement of the kid that told me about it. That's when I really found out about it for the first time. And my dad had called me, and I'd stepped outside, and he told me, he's like, hey, we got good news and bad news. And it was actually a call from Adam Sandler's team. They're like, the good news is you're missing the good news is we picked you to be in the movie. The bad news is you got to miss your family vacation. I was like, oh my God, can't believe I actually got the role. So yeah, I did that. I was in the movie, played young Adam Sandler, super nervous, not knowing what to expect, but he was awesome. One of the most down-to-earth people you ever met. Like, you see the dude, he's wearing baggy shorts, he's wearing flip-flops. He's just a total normal guy. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun. They were super inviting, and it was a cool experience.
Yeah, and the most famous scene in that movie for you is you hit this game-winning shot, which, it's cut kind of weird, so it makes me think, how many times this guy have to shoot it?
A lot.
What did this little gym look like? Like, how far is the actual shot you're taking? And did you actually ever make it?
I did make it, and it was after a lot of attempts. It was in the YMCA in Boston. It's funny, my dad used to actually, when he was growing up, he used to play basketball there, and they had a bunch of extras. So there was like 300-400 people on set that were like extras, the fans of the game, and just big cameras all around. You can't see it in the shot, but these massive cameras, the lights are on you, and they're like, yeah, you got to take, and I didn't know about this, but they were like, yeah, you got to hit this bank shot. And I was like, oh, shit. I'm like, I got to hit this bank shot. And every time I missed it, you got to redo the set. The extras got to go back. They got to look at it and make sure it's right. So it was like half an hour between takes. I think it took me like 11 or 12 shots. But if we get on the court today, I'll hit that thing 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't, but we can probably test that maybe on one of these.
We could get it on. We could put it on the podcast and cut it in.
Yeah, Or maybe at the new HQ, we put a little cord in there.
Yeah.
We'll
That's a good idea.
make a new scene. What one thing I always like kind of think about that scene though is I was lucky early in my life playing golf at a really high level, being around and having pressure on.
Yeah.
You know, and I always think about with doing grown-ups and being kind of on set and pressure, even though you could do other shoots, you got these famous people around you, fans, people you've never met. How much of an effect do you think that kind of played in you wanting to kind of do something at the highest level and kind of made you into the leader you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was massive. You know, when you get that opportunity, it's something that seems a little bit surreal. Like even to this day, I'm huge into I watch a lot of movies. So it was something I was really big and passionate about. So the opportunity to be in one, I think it was scary. And one thing I've realized is when you tell people you're going to do something, you're going to get made fun of. You're going to get a lot of their fear and insecurities are going to be projected onto you, and that can kind of affect you. So that was my first time of realizing, like, hey, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to let people know what I want to do, what's going to happen. And then you deal with a lot of that flack and that backlash. So kind of allowed me to kind of develop that thicker skin and realize that, hey, people are going to be jealous, they're going to be envious, they're going to try to bring you down when you try to do something. And yeah, it was nerve-wracking, but it was rewarding. And I think the most unique part about it is I met Adam Sandler. I met everybody besides Chris Rock, which sucked a little bit because I thought he's like the man. And but what I realized is they're all normal people, especially Adam Sandler, Kevin James, super nice, down to earth. And I realized like these are just people just like me and you. They just went after it. You know, we put them on such a high pedestal, celebrities, this and that. They're just somebody that had a goal and they went after it and they made it. And, you know, it's something we celebrate in this culture is movies and entertainment and celebrities. So I was able to see like, hey, if these people can do it and I'm in this position, then I can do really what I've ever put my mind to. And after that, I don't know if I told you guys about this, but I did a bunch of extra roles in movies. So I got a lot of these emails. I'd show up. I make like $2,000 a day or something crazy. And as like a 14, 15, 16-year-old kid. And I'd be in these movies on set with all these people, and they never, ever, ever got a featured film. And I was like, yeah, I played young Adam Sandler Grown-Ups, and it was so crazy to me that people were 40, 50 years old, still going after the goal, still going after the dream, and never getting the opportunity. So one, I was like, hey, I was lucky. But two, it just made me realize believe in yourself, and people out there that are achieving the things that you want to do are normal just like you and me, and they make a decision, and they persist through all the negativity and everything that they get. And so, yeah, that was a big learning lesson for me. And I got a little bit of fame, you know what I mean? That little thin window. They played that like a premiere in my town, so it was kind of a big deal. And even when I tell people today, everybody cracks up, like they can't believe it. So it's cool, you know. It's cool when you go and you do something like that.
Yeah, and you got used to, you know, good little paychecks for one day of work.
Yeah,
very
yeah.
similar to Solar.
You're still getting the residuals, right?
Yeah, till this day for sure. But yeah, no, it's. I think that was the biggest lesson. It's like no matter what you do, no matter what you go after, people are always going to kind of come at you like crabs in the bucket type of thing. But just persist, and you'll get cool experiences. And I think a lot of people don't have that opportunity to believe in themselves. And so, you know, whatever you're going after in life, it's like if you have that window, you have something you want to do, just go try it. And if you fail, you fail. But if it works out, hey, it works out. And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thing to kind of bring up because what we're kind of doing now at Better Earth is, you know, it's a lot of people's first jobs. Sometimes maybe it's their first time moving to the West Coast where we're primarily located, first time going door to door, first time selling, first time being on Zoom calls, first time making someone sign a contract. We're teaching all of these things for the first time that can be scary, that can be kind of pressure on, and it's good to have things to call back on from your life that you can kind of use. And I think that's why a lot of our really successful people have been former athletes or leaders or entrepreneurs or, you know, different kind of curious individuals like Chance. You know, he had he still has an e-com company, Smile Big, that's crushing it. I know Marshall was traveling, you know, to Japan and stuff while he was in school. We have all these people that are always wanting to elevate. After you kind of were, you know, the child actor and we're now in your other hometown here in Tampa, what got you out of Tampa and what got you into solar in California?
Yeah, I didn't really know what I wanted to study when I went to school. I grew up in a town outside of Boston, really good public education, which I attest a lot of to where I am today to that. I think that's massively important. Like if you get good public education, you know, I was surrounded by a bunch of kids that, you know, had more money than me, and I saw a lot of things, you know, that I wanted to go. I went on some cool vacations with people from my town, and I was surrounded by that money. And then I grew up family, not a lot of money, but a lot of my extended family is like from the heart of Boston, the city. And it was kind of like those two different worlds. And I saw all my friends, they were going to all these schools, these cool schools, and I didn't know what I wanted to study, but I was like, I got to go into an environment where I feel motivated and inspired. And I went down to Tampa. Actually, didn't even apply to it at first. I applied to all schools in South Carolina, saw Tampa, and I was like, wow, this is inspiring to me. I drove around. I remember driving around Davis Island, driving around the city, looking at it, and I don't know, I just came here and I just kind of fell in love. I was like, this is where I want to go to school. Didn't know what I wanted to study. Went a year and a half in school without a major, and they came down. They're like, hey, you're going into your second semester of your sophomore year. Like, you have to have a major. And so I was like, okay, I'll study entrepreneurship and business. And I was doing a lot of the wrong things, partying a lot, drinking a lot. I think that happens when you don't know what you're doing. You're not on purpose. You don't have a clear path of something you're working after that you want. And I just realized, like, hey, I'm coming up with a major just because I have to choose one. I know I want to be an entrepreneur. I know I want to be successful. I know I want to make a name for myself. And I just don't feel like I'm doing it here in school. And so I tore my knee. We talked about this on the last podcast. Got ACL surgery. Reached out to my friend, who's Zane, our CEO, who was doing solar and crushing it. And I was like, dude, I'm lost right now. I see you doing well. Like, I know we had some entrepreneurial experiences. We did network marketing together for a couple of years in high school, which was another crazy good experience for me to be able to socialize, get outside of my comfort zone. And when I heard about solar, I was like, this is it. This industry sounds like the future. It sounds like something I really believe in, that I'm passionate in, that I can go all in on and learn a lot. And similar experience, I told my dad, I said, hey, I'm dropping out of school and I'm doing solar. And he's like, well, hey, there's the two choices. One, I was going to stay and work at Solar City in Boston, or two, I was going to go join the startup in California. And he said, hey, you got two choices, man. He goes, but I'll tell you what. He goes, worst case scenario, you fail, you learn a lot, more than you'd ever learn in school, and you just go back to school. He goes, best case scenario, it works out, and you become really successful, and you learn a lot. And that advice right there was kind of like ticked with me. It was the same advice he gave me growing up. So he's been a big influence in my life and in a positive way. And so just went for it and joined the solar industry and never looked back.
Yeah, that's incredible that your dad was able to, like, give you that type of advice, because most people, their parents aren't, like, wanting them to go and get out of their comfort zone or like take a risk like that. So
hopefully my mom doesn't see this. She wasn't loving the idea of me dropping out of school.
That's the role of moms. We're supposed to be protective. Right, but that's like the common thread, it sounds like, for you. Similar for me, it's like always trying to get out of your comfort zone, always trying to level up, never really being comfortable being comfortable, so to speak. Right? It's like very uncomfortable when you're like, I feel stuck. Like I'm not doing something more, and so you have to take those risks.
Yeah. It's the way to grow, and I've always been rebellious, and that's like going to school, doing all that didn't feel right. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do, and so like I think that rebellious side of just always growing up, I was getting in a lot of trouble, like tons of trouble in high school. Like they even made literally a rule for me specifically. My principal brought my mom in. My mom's like a badass from Boston, super protective over her kids. And my principal was like, yeah, your son's like one of the worst I've ever seen. And my mom didn't fly with that. But yeah, I was super rebellious, and I didn't really listen well to like authorities or the system of going to school. And I was just always kind of like getting in trouble just because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, and I had all this passion and all this enthusiasm in me, and I didn't know where to channel it. And so when solar came around, it was like perfect. Like, oh my God, I can channel all this energy, all this persona that I have to me, and put it all into a vehicle. And that's why I got so excited about it, and that's why I've had so much success in it. I believe most people, when they start, they have that energy, that passion, and they just don't really know where to channel it and cultivate it. And so solar is one of those industries that it's just such an amazing product and service and industry that you can put all your energy and effort behind it.
Yeah, and I know we talked about this a little bit on the last one, but it wasn't easy when you went out there. It wasn't like you just got on the doors first day and became Michael Cavaleri, like Mr. Glass, top sales rep. You struggled. So did Trace. Trace went out there and hit the doors too. What was like the toughest like first hurdle? Because obviously you had a lot of energy going out there. You were ready to go, but then you did get the door slammed in your face a little bit, right?
Yeah. I mean, same thing that I went back to when I did that thing in middle school. It's like when you do something that's outside of the norm, you're going to get a lot of that. And I think too many people listen to the opinions and thoughts and feelings of other people, and they let that weigh on their decision, their confidence, and their beliefs. So same thing, like I partied a lot in school, wasn't doing the right things. And so when I told people I was dropping out to work at a startup and I was going to be successful, I was telling everybody, I was like, I'm going to be super successful. Like, this is going to work out. Everybody's like, yeah, I've seen that dude drink 6 days a week. He's out of his mind. So there's a lot of, like doubt and disbelief from others. And so I think when I was driving out there, I'll never forget all I was trying to do was positive self-talk myself. Because in my head the whole time I was like, what did I just do? Why did I just drop out of school? I had met a girl. I loved her. I just left her, left all my friends, my family back in Boston. I'm like, what am I doing right now? This is nuts. I know nothing about solar. I know nothing really about sales other than people tell me that I'm good at talking. And so a lot of that fear and that doubt creeps in. And I think I allowed a little bit too much of that in the beginning to get in my head when I was out there in that uncertainty, like that discomfort. I was getting dropped off in the turf and field every day, knocking doors for 12, 13 hours. And I had that little voice in the back of my head. And I think eventually it just kind of went through a switch. I was like, dude, I'm out here. I committed. So it's like, I'm going to shut that thing off and I'm going to go for it and I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to win and I'm going to become the best. I looked around the team that we had and some of them were, one of our guys was working at Grant Cardone's office. Everybody else was at Solar City. Everybody else was in sales. Everybody was older than me, more successful. So I had like an intimidation factor of, hey, I feel a little bit out of my element. And I made a decision kind of within a couple weeks. I was like, dude, I'm just going to become the best at this. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to learn it. I'm going to commit to it. I'm already out here. Like, I'm not going to go back home. I'm not going to go back to my school and be a failure. Like, I'm going to go all in, burn the bridges, and just blitz every single day and make this work. And so I think it's just making that decision, have that mindset shift. It's like, hey, shut out those voices in your head and just go after it.
Yeah, one thing that you said on the last one, there's a particular client that you were having like a rough go of it, and they just kind of called you out of the blue and were like, hey, Mikey, we're ready to go solar with you. And
Actually, I was calling my girlfriend at the time, and I was crying a little bit. I was just like, dude, babe, I don't know what I just did. This shit is crazy. It's 9:30 at night or whatever. It was like after 9 at night. It was dark out. I'm waiting for one of our other sales guys to come pick me up. And I'm like, dude, I haven't eaten in like 12 hours. Like, I am just starving, exhausted. And this guy drove by. Abraham rolls down the window. He's like, Michael, he's like, my wife, she wants to speak about solar. Come in. And he like gets me in his car. I'm like, oh my God. They bring me in. They feed me dinner. We talk. And then that ended up being my first deal right then and there. And so, it's at that moment where you're like, you're so close to giving up and you want to give up. It's like that image you see all over social media, that guy with that pick going towards those diamonds, and he's right there and he gives up. And so I think that was my moment. God, the universe, whatever you want to believe in, that was just like, dude, don't give up. Like, it's right there. It's right around the corner. And so that was a cool experience for me.
Yeah, I know Trace kind of had a similar experience because he would call me when I was in Florida and he was in California and he was on the doors or whatever. He was going, through a tough time and would just like take off an afternoon, go to an A's game or whatever. And he was always trying to
go to a bar.
Yeah, or go to a bar or whatever. And I think Trace, you can kind of speak on this, but you kind of found your way by creating your own content, your own like way you could sell solar that made sense to you, and you didn't really need a yes from anyone. You just did it as well.
Yeah.
Just kind of a similar breakthrough. Remind everybody of kind of that situation that got you going.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so when I started, unlike Mikey, I actually had some like really quick wins. I had some great like mentors that I was able to get. I think I had 2 or 3 deals like my first week. So like I got those like first wins, but then as I kind of went solo, like you get through those peaks and valleys. And the whole thing in sales, really anything in life, is like never get too high and never get too low. And like me being emotional at that time, like I'd let myself get real high on the wins, get real low on the losses, right? And this is when I would call you or call Troy and be like, yeah, like what the hell am I doing? Like I can't do this, basically. But luckily you guys were really supportive. Sean, our other co-founder, was really supportive. And we had this thing called the 90-day blitz. So when I was like 45 days in, I was like probably most down in the dumps. I was like, I can't do this. But then kind of little voice in the back of my head that was like, dude, if you can't make it 90 days knocking doors, like you're not who you thought you were, basically, right? Like I have a lot of self-confidence, have a lot of, goals always since I was really young. And so that's what kind of kept me going. I was like, I have to give it 90 days. Like if I don't at least make it the blitz, like I suck and I'll hate myself, basically. But yeah, that kind of flip and talking to you guys, talking to Sean. And I remember one day I was mansion hunting in Dublin.
Okay.
And I had 3 like real rough interactions, and then I saw this like really nice like old lady, and I was like, oh, perfect, I'm gonna go have like a good conversation.
Yeah.
And she just got after me.
Oh yeah.
And just sent me like down, and I quit for the day. But then I basically started to kind of reverse engineer it for myself, and I was like, okay, like how I'm approaching this isn't working for me, but I got to make it work for me. And what I ended up doing is I loved knocking with friends. So people on the team. Like I would stay out there. I could stay out there 10, 12 hours a day. Because when you're with someone, you have a bad interaction, you're just like, yeah, whatever, like on to the next one. You like laugh it off. So I just started doing that for the next few weeks. And I like legit started booking people out. So I had like Melissa Mondays. I'd go with Shane on Tuesdays. I'd go with my other roommate on Wednesdays. And from that point on, I probably hit more doors than anyone at the company. So I went from probably hitting the least amount of doors in my class solo to hitting more doors than anyone else. And that was, like halfway through my second month. And then my third month I made, I think I was like top producer, probably right behind Mikey and Sean in the company. I'd made like $20,000. I was second to Rainmaker. We had this thing. It was like the second quickest ever. And it was just from that, like I had to figure it out for myself. And we threw up a lot of deals, helped a lot of people go solar. And then obviously kind of my background in kind of design and marketing, at that last company, we didn't really have much of anything. So I started just kind of making tools for myself, not asking anybody, just making tools for myself. And then basically the whole company just started adopting it. And then about 6 months in.
I remember getting that presentation.
Yeah, exactly.
And it hasn't stopped to this day.
Yeah, everybody started using it, and about 6 months in, I was like, yo, Zane, like, I'm pretty good at sales, but, like, you guys need a ton of help here, and I'm better than anyone at this. I know that. So I ended up kind of moving into the kind of brand and marketing at that last company, and then obviously the rest is history. We founded Better Earth, and, the branding and marketing never stopped, and we're fucking crushing it, so it's sweet.
Yeah. One thing I don't think we've ever talked about, at least I haven't. What did you think of Mikey when you first got out there, and then what did you think of this guy?
I mean, we didn't really know each other at first because I was in SoCal and
Correct.
he was in NorCal.
I would see him on the sales calls every week, and I was just like, oh, this is the guy. I always thought Mikey was super cool, and super professional, but also like super approachable. Like that's what I kind of saw in Mikey, and I think that's why you're so respected on the sales side, because everybody respects you. They know you'll outsell them, but then you're also just super likable and personable, which obviously is why you're good at sales. So like I don't think I was intimidated of you ever. Maybe like I was of like Zambo. I was terrified of that guy. That guy's a scary guy when you first meet him. But yeah, no, always just like a ton of respect for everything Mikey was doing. And Sean and Mikey had a funny little rivalry at that last company that persisted even to the start of Better Earth.
Yeah.
I don't think it was till like 6 months into Better Earth where you guys really started jiving.
Until maybe last week. No, I'm just kidding.
And I know the story, but I don't know if you've ever told the story on a podcast or anything. What that rivalry became a competition for Tesla. Tell us about your gamesmanship and how you.
Yeah, man. So like I told you, it started from like those couple weeks. I was just like, dude, like I was super competitive growing up. Like always on my sports teams. I wasn't like the captain always, but I was like the hype guy. Like when we got in the crowd, mostly in soccer, like I was getting everybody fired up, just going nuts. I was like, we got to win. Like I hated losing. And so when I came out into the sales role, I was like, dude, I need to be the best at this. Like, and it took me a couple weeks to get past like the fear, anxiety of what I just did to be like, hey, I'm out here, commit, and want to win. And so I started to become, the best, at least in Southern California, and then getting close to become the best salesperson in the company. And then, like Sean came in, and then Sean just like was absolutely crushing it. So I was like, who the f is this guy? You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't like this guy. He's getting a lot of attention. The dude's smart. He's good at sales. So obviously, I'm looking at this like I want to be the best. So yeah, it just kind of drove some competition right there. And to this day, insane amount of respect for Sean. During the time though, I was like, growing up in Boston, we talk a lot of smack, and guys in Florida don't do that. So I think like some people in the company thought I like really meant it personally. That's why UFC is my favorite sport, because they talk a lot of smack. And at the end of the day, like they'll beat the crap out of each other and then shake each other's hand and be like, it's business, and that's what it is. And I have a lot of fun with that. And we ended up being in a competition the company was buying a Tesla Model S, which at the time was a $100,000 car. I don't know what it is now. And they were just going to pay for it. Just write a check and wire the money, and you get the car. And there was, I think, a 6-week-long competition for this Model S, and it was me versus Sean in the final round. And he thought he had it in the bag. I played a couple tricks on some guys on my team from SoCal that knew him, said that I got sick. So we took the night off, had a little bit of wine and ice cream with his girlfriend, who's still his girlfriend, lovely couple. And then on Sunday, I dropped a 3-piece, 3 deals to solidify it and won the car.
Did you actually drop 3 deals that Sunday, or did you hold a couple
No,
deals
I dropped 3 deals on Sunday.
How many of those were realized?
All of them, besides one in that whole competition.
That's pretty impressive.
And how long
And
was
that's a
that
fact, too. You can look. You can ask Sean. You can go into the data. It's like a 99.9% realization ratio in solar.
Yeah, you were good. How long was that competition?
I think like 6 weeks.
How many did you do?
I don't remember exactly, but I know that install month, it was like 14 full installs.
Which back then, the way we had to do sales
Nuts.
back then.
I know guys that do 30 to 40 sales right now, and they're not even getting 15 installs in a month. So back then, it was like we had to literally knock on the door, like run the credit, get the site surveyor there to get the design, to then go close them a few days after. So it was an outdated process. But the good thing about it was a lot of those people, anybody we sat down with and we told them about it, like they were going to go through because we put more work in up front. It wasn't as easy just to go in, sign somebody up, and they could cancel it anytime they wanted. You had to build a lot of trust, a lot of rapport, a lot of credibility.
Yeah, but it was
minimum
4 days from when you knocked on a door. Maybe 3 days.
3 days sometimes.
3
yeah.
days.
And then it started getting a little faster during that competition. Actually, it started to get a little bit more improved, and I think that's where we kind of saw like the first wave of like where the industry was going with faster proposals and shorter sales cycles.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, you guys were selling poly panels, 285 watts.
No, we were not selling poly
we were
panels.
selling monocrystalline.
Okay. All right. So this wasn't
So you want to know the reason why I think we started to really take off is because we started selling ownership. And that's when like my sales became the best. I just really learned how to sell like the $0 down solar ownership plan. And I was like, dude, this is so much better than anything I'm doing. Like my conviction, my belief in what I was doing just got elevated. And I was like, I can sell this all day long. Like this is so much better than what I was doing before. And this is 10 times better than what they're doing in their current situation. So like the belief went through the roof.
Yep.
And if I sat down with somebody, it was like, what are you going to pay 50% more to lease your power to a utility company that doesn't care about you, where the rates are going to go up every single year? And then when you move, you literally add no value to their house. It's like, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so that's what we do primarily today. It's like 95% of our business is that zero money down solar ownership. So that's really when we started selling that and taking it on for that.
Which is still very different compared to a lot of
companies.
Still powerful companies. And I think it's tougher to learn to sell ownership. But once you do, you really are the expert in the home. You do understand the different situations and the reasons why ownership versus a PPA or renting or whatever is so much better if the homeowner can do it. We haven't really ever talked about that. But that makes a lot of sense on why that previous company kind of exploded. It's because you really did have a true differentiator in what you were selling and how you were selling it.
Yeah, it was new. And, like, they're both great products. Like, I think solar is the right choice regardless of how you do it. Sure. But, yeah, I came in, I think we called it the VPP, but the
value purchase plan.
The value purchase plan. But, yeah, financing was, like, brand new when I started. I was, like, the first class that, like, got to start with financing. So a lot of our training and stuff was still in, like, the PPA world. But, yeah, for sure. Like, once I kind of learned ownership, I was like, this makes so much more sense than the other direction. And I was able to have a lot more conviction doing that because, they own your power like you own your home. Yeah. That's the easiest pitch in the world.
And we had to adapt because the finance, this is a good story. I like this. This is a good one for the people watching. We literally we sold a bunch of, basically the lease PPA products at the time. It was like 70 to 80 contracts we had out.
Which was a lot at that time.
A lot at that time. Waiting, still a lot for most solar companies, installers. Like a lot of people aren't doing that volume. This was over a couple weeks, 70 to 80 of these contracts. And then all of a sudden we got word from this company that, hey, we can't fund these projects. So we had like 70 to 80 projects overnight that we had to cancel out of that and then go to all those people, pivot in a matter of days, learn how to sell ownership, and then try to go back to all your existing deals, flip them from a PPA lease to an actual ownership financing, which at the time, like, you know, it was a loan, right? So a lot of us were like, whoa, how do we do this? We just totally sold against, you know, owning the solar system. So that was a really unique experience. That was like my first real adapt or die moment in solar, to realize how fast the industry can transition, how fast things can change overnight. And that like was a really, really good, valuable lesson for me in business and a lot of us on our sales team. And I did well. I got most of my people, like most of the customers, I got them to transition over. There was maybe, like that might have been like one or two of my few cancels in solar. They're like, no, we don't want to do this. We're not going to get the tax credit. Or in that situation, obviously the PPA, and at least if those are better options, you can't get the tax credit. But that was like a holy crap type of moment, right? You're like, all the deals we had to go and flip them overnight.
As a company, we did like exceptionally well at flipping
them.
people.
Yeah,
like
we did.
And I think that's a testament to, honestly, the leadership, which at the time that leadership was you, a couple other guys in SoCal, Sean and Dean.
Sean, Dean, Alec, those guys.
Kind of training that, and everybody just kind of, you know, going for broke basically, and saying, all right, like, we got to do this. We got to do this now, and getting everybody really trained up and ready for it, which is super cool to see.
Yeah, and I wasn't with you guys at that time, but that sounds like maybe one of the most important, like, kind of experiences of why we all kind of thought Better Earth could become a thing and make it too.
For sure.
Because you guys had gone through situations, you'd gone through growth, you'd seen products switch, financiers switch. Fast forward to, because I was around for this transition from the previous company to the idea of Better Earth, which you guys wanted to call a different name, which
Red.
I'll let Trace. Yeah,
They want to call it Red. Yeah. They want to call it Green Energy Company Red.
Yeah, we beat nothing.
Thank God for us.
I don't think I was not involved in that name decision.
But so, you know, I was with Trace at the time when you guys were doing that, and then Mikey, take us, because I know you had some other stuff going on at the same time. Take us through that first time where it was like, hey, we want to do this, and how long it kind of took for everyone to get together and get on board together.
Yeah, so we had all been at that company, and like, you know, all of us were really entrepreneurial, really forward thinking, and there was a lot of things that we wanted to do as a business, and a lot of you know, directions that we wanted to take it. And like we were in the home. We were doing so much research. We were all super passionate about the changes and the improvements and things that we wanted to make and the expansion that we wanted to have. I think we all truly, like as a collective of the founders of Better Earth, realized how big this industry was and how we could get ahead. And like all the issues that we were seeing, we were like, man, we can solve these problems. But a lot of our ideas, I think maybe because we were young, you know, 22, 23-year-old kids, it didn't really carry as much weight with the owners of the original company we were at. And that's when we kind of take matters into our own hand. We're like, hey, we know we can make these improvements. We know we can go out here and do this thing and do all the directions we want to take this company, the expansion, the brand, the customer experience, the sales experience, everything that we talked about on the last podcast. Like, we know where this industry is going, and we know where we want to take it. And that's kind of where I started to fizzle out. A couple of the other guys started to fizzle out. I was like, hey, I can't do this anymore if the vision that I have is not going to be seen out. And you know, talking with Zane and the other people, that we all agreed, you know, we're like, hey, we agree with this vision. We have this massive vision. And we kind of all just met up a little bit, you know, separately, talked about it. And then we all got down to LA and we sat together. We were like, hey, we're really going to do this. And like, this is not a 5-10 year, let's get rich, sell our company type thing. We're like, hey, this is a 40, 50 plus year. This is a legacy building organization. Like, this is solar. Like, this is going to be massive. And we're going to do this the right way. And we're going to create the best brand. And whether you guys came up with the name, who knows what happened there. But, you know, like, we knew what we were signing ourselves up for, and everybody was on the same page. And the coolest part about it was that everybody knew their role, you know, and I think that was the interesting thing. Everybody knew what they were good at, and everybody like when we sat down there, instinctively everybody was like, yep, here's where, like, here's what you're going to do, here's what you're going to do. And then the most beautiful thing about all that, of the founding of Better Earth, that we probably don't talk about, was we actually all sat in a room, and for hours, I wouldn't say we talked about what we didn't like, but we talked about what we thought were people's mishaps, right? Like, hey, I think you're really good at this. I think you need to work on this. When we start this company, like, I just want to be transparent. We were just like this full, open, transparent circle of like, here's what I like about you, here's what I don't like, here's what I think you're good at, here's what I think you can improve at, here's what I think you're going to provide value, here's what I think you're not going to provide value. So we really just got on that same foot of like transparency, open communication. I think when you go into business with partners, it's like you have to have that. You have to understand their fundamental values, core values, beliefs. So when you go into the conversation, it's like, hey, we're not perfect. You know, we all have ideas. We always get on calls. A lot of times the ego gets in the way where you think your idea is better than others. And we talk about it. We're like, hey, guys, it's not about if I think my idea is better. It's what do we collectively as a group think is the best idea? Once we know that, how do we take that and execute on that and drive the priorities to get that idea executed into solution where it's a real part of our company and, you know, process, system, you know, whatever it is. But yeah, it was a really unique founding, and it was something really special that I think back at, and it gives me chills of like, yeah, that was an intense moment, and we were like, this is what we're doing, man. Like, this is not a joke. Like, you're either all in on this or you're not, and we all agreed. We're like, hey, we're all in on this for as long as we're around.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm really grateful actually for like the experience we had at the last company, because we all had like a year plus to really like work with each other, which is something that everybody always says in business, like do a project with your business partners before you go into business. So we got really lucky because we had that last company. We didn't know each other as well as we do now, obviously, but we all had a feeling for each other, like what you were saying. Like, you knew my skill set, I knew yours, we knew Sean's, Zane's. We all kind of naturally fell, and Pat, like we all kind of naturally fell into our positions and roles, and it made it really, really easy to kickstart the company and just go 1,000,000 miles per hour to start, because we didn't have to like feel each other out.
Yep.
Which is why, you know, we did more deals the first month of Better Earth than that company ever did.
Yeah.
And I think that's a testament to us being able to just put our brains together and just run.
100%. And obviously I knew like Zane, you know, somewhat from growing up. Like, we met basically going into high school and middle school, and we did some network marketing together. You and Sean grew up together. I know you guys did a little business stuff together. So you had that level of trust and understanding. And I think that's super important, like to know who you go into business with. And it's about like those core values. Like, do you really value the same things, you know? And I think a lot of times businesses don't work out because partners don't really share the same core values of, you know, in the mission of where you're going. So like getting clear on that from day one, like it was massive for us.
Yeah, and from kind of the outside, I wasn't at the previous company, and then being, you know, there Better day one, I was really impressed being older. You know, I'm 7 years older than Trace, with all of you guys. You know, I got to meet you a little bit. I was on Zane's. I was the first guest on the Zane Effect podcast.
Good times.
Hopefully we'll bring back. But I was just so impressed by you guys being so young, so driven. The industry is super interesting. And, you know, I'd known Sean and Dean, you know, just from coaching Trace against them, where I don't think we ever lost.
You guys dominated them in U Sports, I heard.
Yeah. Even if we weren't as talented on some of those teams.
We were more talented.
Well, we were, but we just put them in the ground. And but it was super fun, like, seeing you guys kind of come together. And then luckily for me, being in the right place, right time to kind of join and bring my skill set to the team. And the first time we really hung out, Mikey, and I love the story, is when we first started, we were just a sales company. And we actually thought that Las Vegas, Nevada would be a really good place to sell. I used to run a golf course there for a couple years. And one of the first things we did as Better Earth was go to Vegas to kind of run this awesome event at my former club, Chimera Golf Club. And we ran like a little wine and dinner party. We talked to a bunch of homeowners. We did a really, really good job presenting. Then we all kind of went into the homes and sold them. And I don't know if we sold really any deals.
We did.
We did sell a couple deals, but you guys were so good in that presentation. I remember Sean kind of talking about Better Earth and you guys talking about Better Earth, and I was like, oh shit, like I'm in on this. Like, I'm in on figuring out how I can play a really, really big role here, because I hadn't been around people that like inspired me in different ways, where I felt like the puzzle really was like you guys said, everyone knew their role. I could see that from the outside, just meeting you guys, some of you for the first time within, you know, a month. And I was like, damn, like there's something here. And on that trip, we had a lot of fun. You know, we're in Vegas. And one of the best things was you, me, and Trace. I don't know if Sean was there that night. I think he left.
He went to bed.
Yeah, but we were at Planet Hollywood, and we decided we were getting kind of smoked playing blackjack a little bit. I think you were up. Me and Trace were getting down.
Up.
You were up. I was getting killed. And we decided to go play roulette. And Trace hadn't really ever played that much roulette before.
Never.
Even though your name's Trace, which is 3. And we went over roulette at Planet Hollywood, and when we hit some numbers to start. And
Three was the first spin.
we hit 3 on the first spin. And we had a pretty good night at Planet Hollywood, and we did go over to the Bellagio.
First spin, third spin, the sixth spin, and like the 11th spin.
Yeah.
It was a heater.
Yeah, but we won money the first night.
Yes.
But the second night, we were so confident after another day of selling solar and having meetings. We went to dinner. I forget where we went to dinner at Bellagio.
Spago at Bellagio.
We went to Spago. Mikey did an amazing espresso martini review, which you're sort of known for. You haven't done one in a while.
No, actually, I won't take credit. One of my buddies in Boston, he's in the hospitality, entertainment space now, in the health and fitness, real estate space. He coined that espresso martini, and now I got another buddy from Boston that does them. So I was just giving him some love, but I just felt like I threw a little bit more personality in there. So
You're better. You're better at it.
Real quick. Say espresso?
He says it with an X.
espresso.
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 That was better. That was better.
Good job.
Thanks for catching me on a live podcast, bro.
But we went to Spago, and we're eating a nice dinner with our winnings from the day before, and we were so confident we were just gonna go tear up the tables after dinner. Like it was weird. We're like, we're just gonna go.
I was
make
considering.
money
I was like, this whole solar thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm a professional roulette player at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I went up 5 figures in over a couple spins. So
yeah, and we went literally directly after dinner, and we made money again on the first spin, either playing 3 or 0 or double 0.
Yep.
And we got up. You were up, I think, 5 figures pretty easily. Trace and I were up a little less. But we had people coming to our table at the Bellagio. We're drinking espresso martinis.
I started putting on the show.
There's some girls there, like literally we had them convinced that you're there to do espresso martini reviews around Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And on this one particular spin, for whatever reason, we had spread our trips around a little bit, but we were playing 3, 0, double 0 a little bit more. And on this one particular spin, we literally built a tower. Like we built a 100 chip tower.
Yeah.
I think it was a $300 or more tower on 3.
On 3, yeah.
Nothing
And
else on the board.
Nothing else on the board. We're the only ones playing. And no shit, this ball comes around and lands on 3, and Trace is doing airplanes around. Like
we had like 20 people at the table watching.
It was psychotic.
It was funny.
I was like giving people high fives.
It was psychotic, yeah. And we played a little bit more, and we just took our winnings and had like a great night. But it was so fun, like to get to know you, Mikey, over those couple days, and obviously like Trace and I get along like really, really well. But that was just such a awesome weekend for me to be like, okay, I'm in LA now. I'm going all in on solar. I really love working with my little brother, and now I get to work with all these other awesome people, and they're going to get after it kind of the same way I do too, like on the side, if it's golf or if it's whatever. But that was such a cool weekend to see how we interacted as a team right with that first month, and from there, like it was like just easy, with Sean, with Zane, with Pat, with you, with Trace, with Dean, with everybody. It was like, man, we're just like all on the same step. And obviously with our growth and with our expansion, all these things, like there's been peaks and valleys, but the communication and like the confidence in each other, I don't think has ever gone down. It's only gotten immensely stronger.
For sure. Yeah, and just it's awesome when you get to work with in business. I think when you agree on core business principles and everybody plays a role, I think that's amazing. But when you become really close friends and it's like people that, hey, you guys are definitely going to be at my wedding, and hopefully continue into the future. And that's like one of the most amazing things is to be able to have that strong connection, that strong bond, where it's like whether we're up at 8 o'clock on a Monday doing Zoom calls for 15 hours a day, that day, hopping on with each other. Sometimes you can get a little at each other, that we're all humans, you know what I mean? We all disagree at points, but yeah, I think the friendship and the bond we have is so special, and so it makes us so strong as a company that we're able to get after each other and hold each other accountable. And if somebody's slipping or not doing their role or not putting in the time, energy, and attention that they need to, it's like we'll call each other out.
Right.
And at no point it's like, oh, you're wrong. It's like, hey, you're right, yeah. Because we hold each other to such a high standard of excellence. And, yeah, we like to have a lot of fun, We go out to dinners together. We do all that. We have a blast. But we know at the end of the day, like, hey, we're here to get after it. We're here to win. And we're able to hold each other accountable and have some fun banter, as I would call it, back and forth with each other.
Ton of fun banter, and like obviously we have like dust ups, but I think the kind of tight bond between not only just us as like founders and you, like just like honestly the whole company.
For sure.
It's just kind of a culture of excellence and solving problems and not being afraid to have like the hard conversations. I think one of the most detrimental things in any business or just like any relationship or anything is like letting things fester, and it just keeps building and building and building and building, and you get all these little things and they add up and then it explodes. And I think that's something that, and we're still working on that, but you can't let it explode. Like as soon as that little thing pops up, like get in front of it, like address it, solve it, and then keep going. I think the thing that helps us is we, short-term goals, I think we might all have slightly different variations of exactly where we want to go and what we want to do next, right? Whether it be region expansion or meet something on software or whatever, but that long-term goal, the 10, 20, 30, 50, like we implicitly know what we want. We're all aligned there. So it always comes back to that. It's those like micro targets that you were talking about the other day and those macro goals. Collectively, we all know what those macro goals are. So anytime things like start to waver or maybe like are going in a direction that we don't agree with, we're able to get it right back on the track really quickly and stay focused and get back to it, which I think is probably the most important thing. And for anybody that's listening that like has business partners and is running, like that's where you have to be aligned, like 100%. You have to be aligned in like what your true mission is, what your true vision and goal is. Because then all the little stuff you can overcome. You can conquer those things. But if you're misaligned on where you're ultimately trying to go, like you're going to crash and burn eventually. It's not like an if thing. It's just like, when's it going to happen? When's that split going to happen? I know with our partners in our company, like that's where we're good. And it makes it a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, kind of jump into some other stuff. One of the other things I kind of learned while we were in Vegas was Mikey's a big like UFC fan, MMA. We actually had like a wrestling match with Caleb Alvarez in the hotel room, which I still have video of a not 100% Mikey taking down a 100% Caleb, but there might have been some
high school state
there might have been
wrestler.
some
Mikey brought the old man strength.
Yeah, it was debatable though. But one of the things, Mikey's that's a big part of your life outside of Better Earth. You like to take our team to McGregor fights and to Vegas and watch the fights on Saturday nights. Tell us a little bit more about why that's important and what you like and how that's kind of become a little bit of a culture of team building for us too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think one just why I love UFC so much is it's just so intense, and I'm just inspired by like the greatness of the athletes. Really, how I got into it is I saw a Conor McGregor fight, I think in 2015 in Boston. And my cousins, they were big UFC guys, and they were talking to me about this kid, Conor McGregor. And I watched his first fight, and I watched, like, I'm in Boston, I'm, despite the belief, I'm more Irish than I am Italian and Greek. And, I'm putting that out there online, crazy,
bomb.
right? But, so, like, a bunch of Irish people were in Boston. There was this atmosphere and this culture and surrounding this hyper and this superstar guy, and I was like, I didn't even know about the guy at the time. And I went to this fight, and it was like 70% of the ticket sales were from Dublin. And this place was out of control, man. All these Irish guys were going nuts. And I watched this dude come in and just absolutely destroy, his opponent. And I just started watching him and learning about him and just seeing his story and where he came from and the sensation behind him, the superstar. And then I just started getting really into looking at UFC fighters, watching them, hearing about their stories. And it's like the man in the arena at the end of the day. It's like you do all this work, 6 months, 8 months, you're in training camp, all for this one moment where you're in the cage for either 15 or 25 minutes. And everything you do, preparation, mindset, training, everything leads up to that moment when you're in the cage. And it's like, it's game time, And that to me is so cool because it's like, it's all on you at the end of the day, right? Like whatever you want in your life, you got to go make it happen. I think us having an amazing team is important. The collaboration's important, but like you got to go be the person that does it. And that's what the UFC. There's your team in the corner, but no one's going to go out there and hit the person for you, wrestle the person for you, go in that cage. So like to me, it's so remarkable that they have the courage to do that, the strength, and on the other side, the fun side, I just like to be entertained, and I think that's the most entertaining sport. On the culture, as far as bringing people out, I think most companies, like, the way I looked at this when we started our own company, I'm like, we get to do this how we want. Like, I want this to be fun, man. Like, I got one life in this body as I know it. Like, I'm going to make it fun. And I'm going to make it something where I enjoy what I do every single day, because this is why I'm not working a job. This is why I'm not going. This is why I dropped out of school. I dropped out of school to create my own reality, and I want to create an environment where we reward people for hard work. You know, it's something that Zane talked about on the call, and I was talking about on the call the other day. Is like, how do you set a goal and how do you reward yourself? You know, like a lot of people, they work so hard and they don't really reward themselves. So what I wanted to show the team is like, hey, when you work hard and you get after it and you set a goal and you hit it, you get rewarded. And so that's the culture I wanted. I think what that does is just gives you that positive, reinforcement in your own head. Like, hey, if I go put in the work, set my mind to something, and I do it, I can get what I want in life. And so that's what I'm a firm believer in. So yeah, I love doing competitions. I love bringing the guys to Vegas or Miami, or just bringing them on these experiences that they've never had. Because to me, at the end of the day, we're all going to die. Money is something that's cool. It's important to me. I want to make a lot of it. But more importantly, it's like the people that I'm around and the experiences I have. I think that's what makes a really rich life. So trying to have a lot of amazing experiences with amazing people.
Yeah, and we've done a lot of those this year. You know, we did a lot of cool gifts this year. Like Chance got a Lambo. We got people going to Ibiza,
that was wild, dude.
Costa Rica,
Ibiza,
Miami, Japan, Mexico, all sorts of things. And that was only really in our second year of business. Like, we're going to be maybe sending people to space in 2022 or
yeah.
something. You know, I'm looking at crazy things that we can incentivize our team that they would just never do for themselves, maybe, you know, that we can look towards. But one of the things I do like to bring up to people is, like, every Tuesday and Friday they get to experience the Mikey Cavaleri on our all-hands call and then on your sales call. And the Tuesday call that you ran this morning, it's always hilarious. You know, it's always, like, it's comedy first, it's hyping people up and showing the wins second, and third, it's kind of going over the updates. And I think it's such an amazing way we've kept that Tuesday call as a part of our culture. It's like, we're going to have fun and it's going to be hilarious, but tell us kind of your mindset on those Tuesday calls, because sometimes it's literally just like pure comedy. I know it cracks the hell out of Troy, our director of digital content here behind the camera.
What's up, buddy?
But Troy literally dies listening to these Tuesday calls. He was on this morning. It's like his favorite thing of the week.
Yeah, man, I'm going to have fun with it. I think, I'm extremely intense about what I do, like extremely, extremely intense, extremely hard on myself. So I want to make it fun for everybody that's involved. Like, if they're going to get on, like, here's what you have to understand. I heard this from a guy, Billy Jean. I'll give credit where credit's due. I met him actually in San Diego at a baseball game. He's one of the best internet marketers, and he's like, you got to first entertain people, and then you got to engage, and then you got to educate them. Like, so many people, I see so many people trying to be social media influencers, this or that. I'm like, dude, you're going against the Nelk Bros. You're going against, like, Jake Paul, Logan Paul. You're going against these, like, media sensations. You're going against guys like Conor McGregor. It's like, what do? They're going to entertain first. They're going to educate and engage, and then you can be educational after. You know, that's the space that we're competing against. We're competing with people's attention. So I'm like, if I'm going to have people in our company commit to getting on a call, I'm going to provide value, and I'm going to make it fun, and I'm going to make it entertaining. And, I think I keep myself a little bit more serious on the calls that we're on when we're talking about things. It's like, when it's to get shit done, it's like we're going to get it done, but I'm going to make it fun. You know, people are jumping on that. It's going to be engaging. I like to have fun. I like to make myself laugh, and I think that everybody enjoys it more when we're having fun on those calls. And if you get people laughing, you get them feeling good about what they're doing, like, everybody's going to have a bigger day and, be excited to be on that. You don't want to be boring. You don't want to be bland. It's like anything in life. So I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of funny. I don't think I'm that funny, but I just try to say whatever comes to my mind. And, thank you for laughing, Troy. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and sometimes I try to set you up for some success or failure.
Yeah. You give me some T-balls.
Yeah, always. I know one of the ones that we did a few weeks ago, and now, I put like NFTs on every single slide. Mostly NFTs that I own or Trace owns or whatever. But that's been a really fun thing kind of in the last, 6 months that we've all been getting into, not just individually, but as a company.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about Better Earth is, like, it's not just we talk about sales or solar. It's like we want to get to know people. We want to get to know your why, your how, where you're from, what you like, why you're doing this, what your goals are. But we also want to have fun in real time too, and invest with each other and advance, our lives together. But tell us a little bit about your journey into the NFT space, because I know you've been getting after it a little bit.
Yeah, well, thanks to these guys right here, this guy right here, thanks to you. But no, I mean, I think it's cool. Like, all of us are really forward thinking, and like, joining solar 5 years ago, it's crazy where the industries came and seeing the growth. And it's like, being in part of an industry that we see how fast it's growing. It's amazing to get into it early. And yeah, I'm a huge believer in crypto, crypto specifically. I think we see what's going on with inflation, everything. And, when you talk about currency and about the future and smart contracts and, DAOs and metaverse, like all these crazy concepts that seem so far out of reach. But once you actually start diving into the space and you start educating yourself, it's moving so fast. It's almost impossible to keep up with it. Like we do okay with it, but it's like, it's a full-time job. Like any of my friends that are really successful in the crypto NFT space, like it's their full-time gig. It's going to be, just like solar's a transformation of wealth from fossil fuels into renewable energy. I think it's the same exact thing with crypto. It's this transfer of wealth. And I see the same idea of like, wow, renewable energy reminds me of crypto. It's kind of like going away from the system of where all the old money was, where all that corrupt greed and power, and giving it back to the people, giving it back to control the homeowners. Crypto to me gives the wealth back and control of the people. It's the first industry, financial asset class that literally the everyday people have access before the institutions. To me, that's a beautiful thing. And it's really, really powerful. And then, yeah, the NFTs and that's just non-fungible tokens. It interests me. Like I obviously I had some young little acting things going on, but I've seen a lot of like the corruption in Hollywood and the art, in all these industries. And what it does is it gives a lot of power to artists. Like you always hear, oh, artists can't make money. Oh, artists can't be successful. And this is literally giving them a platform to see success. And I think being artistic and being creative just as like a human being is one of our most powerful skills. And most people don't get to exercise that. So now that there's a platform for them to exercise that, make a lot of money and grow a community, I think it's tremendous. And hey, I've missed on a lot of them that I just like, hey, that looks cool. Let me buy that one. So, you got to read about it. You got to read about the team. You got to read about the stories, see if there's information on the founders. You got to get into the Discord, see if there's a community. There's a good way to go about it. Looking at it and being like, this plasma bear is sexy. I'm going to buy this for, 3.5 ETH. That doesn't usually work out. So I've learned the hard way, and I've learned the right way to do things. But yeah, I think it's fascinating. And just to piggyback off what you said, man, like we're here to change people's lives, dude. Like I'm not here to, hey, come into solar, I'll teach you how to sell solar. It's like, no, I want to change your life. Like this shit's changed my life. It's completely transformed who I am, what I believe is possible. So when people come in the company, it's like, hey, we're going to teach you how to make money in solar, sure, but it's like, no, I want to teach you to be confident. I want to figure out who you are, how I can help you become the best version of yourself. I want to teach you how to invest, how to build wealth, how to believe in yourself, how to get involved in these projects. Like we're doing a lot as owners of the business, and it's like we're bringing people in on our real estate deals. We're bringing them in on NFTs. We're buying cryptos. We're giving them the plays because it's like, hey, if I can change somebody's life in that regard, like that's my main goal of what we're doing. Same way like when we're sitting down with the homeowner, it's like, hey, this is improving your situation. Like we're not just doing this for the environment. We're doing this for you. This is for your bank account, for your pocket. Most of them, it's like a 6-figure over 25 years in savings. That's a big deal that we're doing for people. That can change some people's lives. So I think that's the passion behind it of what we're doing. That's why the community is so strong. It's like I fucking care about these guys. Like I love them. I love the team more than anybody. Like I don't have that many friends outside of the company. I'm working on that a little bit because it's all I do is talk about business 24/7. So it's good to be back in Tampa, have that social circle and stuff. But yeah, no, I care about them. This is the family, so we're gonna keep putting them on in place.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think Better Earth is starting to get into it, and I think it's natural for us.
You gonna drop the bomb?
Because we're I will drop the bomb. But we've always thought of ourselves, and I think we execute to a high level on it, that we're the most forward-thinking, kind of innovative company in this space. So it would be odd if Better Earth wasn't the company that is interested in crypto, talking about NFTs, putting that in our presentations. We're obviously all doing it, just ourselves as individuals. I, got into crypto in 2013. I've always been a big believer in kind of the decentralization of finance, and I famously spent over $1 million on college, as Zane always likes to remind every single person I meet, because I paid for it in Bitcoin. But I've always kind of been in that space of like, reality and the world and all these systems as we know it aren't necessarily what is going to be the case in 30 years or even 10 years, and certainly not 100 years. Our current financial system, our current kind of way of doing everything is not that old, right? The internet is not that old. And so what's interesting, at least how I kind of look at the world, is anytime I see something that's like, kind of crazy sounding, this new piece of innovation, I'm never like, oh, no way. I'm always like, maybe, which I think is a really good and kind of safe perspective. Like, I'm completely over leveraged in crypto from like a financial advisor perspective. But I would say,
if you talk to Merrill Lynch, they'd say you're over.
I'm completely, yeah. But I'm also up, 6,000% of my portfolio. I'm beating most people, right? And is it risky, or am I just looking at where the world's going and saying maybe, and exposing myself to these, new things and, smart ways, right? Because there was a time when people didn't think the internet was going to be a thing. They thought 100%. It was going to be the fax machine. And then it's like, well, you never thought you were going to be on the internet. Now everybody's on the internet. It's like, I don't know if that's the case with NFTs, but it's weird to me to say, like, no, right? And, as a company, we also just have, like, a lot of fun with it. I will drop the bomb.
Drop it at the end.
Drop it at the end?
Yeah, we'll drop it at the end.
Well, I feel like this is the natural time to drop the bomb.
It's your bomb to drop.
They're gonna clip it up and everything. Troy's gonna clip it up.
Are you gonna clip it up, Troy?
I'm gonna drop.
So it really doesn't matter when we drop it.
I'm gonna drop the bomb right now. It's not like we're gonna put it at the end.
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, so like probably the biggest move that Better Earth has just recently made as of like a few days ago is we have acquired a Bored Ape Yacht Club. He's a pink Captain Ape. He's super dope. And we're now part of this Bored Ape Club that has Post Malone and Lil Baby and Jimmy Fallon and all of these incredible people. And that club, for people that don't know, is just, it puts us in conversations with a lot of really interesting people. And we're going to position it and kind of leverage it to brand Better Earth specifically on Twitter and kind of get into these like Discord spaces. One of the goals with it is I think it's the most logical and kind of smartest way to break into celebrity solar, because we are now in the same community as tons of celebrities.
Ape into solar.
Ape into it.
Yeah.
We ape into solar. Exactly.
It gives us access that you can't have without it, which is a fascinating thing.
A super fascinating thing, and it also just positions us, fundamentally different. I don't think some of our bigger competitors, founded by older people, no disrespect, are going to be making that same move, and innovating and marketing in that same way. And so I think it's incredibly just on brand for us to make these kind of, borderline crazy moves into a space and like take a bet. We're already, up on the investment, obviously. But we know the dividends that it'll provide once basically the entire marketing and sales strategy that you and I will create and execute on it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, we're part of the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Let's go.
Pretty dope. Yeah, I'm stoked for that, man. That's a power move, and that's just being a forward-thinking company. What you said, like, was fascinating, because it's something I think about all the time. Like when I try to tell people about crypto and everything, it's like it's whatever's perceived value, like whatever anybody sees. If everybody collectively agrees that Bitcoin is the most valuable asset, right, as a reserve currency, it will become valuable. Like if you think about it back in the day. This is the easiest way I look at crypto, why it makes sense. If I'm in the United States and I'm doing trading with Spain, and at the time I think this seashell is literally worth value, it takes me 3 months to get over Spain. By the time I get over Spain goes, nope, we actually value a bullhorn now. That's how it used to work back in the day. That's how trading and bartering used to work. And they would literally miss out on what's valuable. Now we have the internet where everybody is so much access to information at your fingertips. Everybody can agree instantaneously. Hey, this is valuable. The news can start spreading. That's why when you get into some of these things, like just having access to the internet, the value of it inflates so drastically because everybody can agree with it. So I think the internet's connected us on a level we've never been connected before, where it's like we can agree on what we truly believe is valuable outside of just what the government has decided is the currency. So it's fascinating. And the way I look at that too, it's like solar. Like if you came to Florida 5 years ago, a lot of people were like, no, solar is not valuable. No, I don't see the benefit in solar. No, I'm not going to do solar. Now 5 years later, we're here in Florida, about to be launching and opening up here. Like, it's valuable here. It's growing freaking fast, and it's crazy because people are starting to understand it, and it's starting to shift their mindset. So I think it's just with anything, right? Once enough people start to fully understand, fully grasp the concept and what it can do for them, then it actually becomes valuable and people understand it, and then that's when the market just explodes. So,
yeah, and Trace and I riffed on this all the time about like how we're so built for the metaverse to use our Bored Ape to make Better Earth a really cool Web3 company. And, we're doing in-homes, we're doing door-to-door, we're doing cold calls, we're we're selling solar in all these different ways. So are a lot of other companies. And, I always mess around. It's like, I'm going to be just selling in the metaverse. I'm going to do in-homes in the metaverse. Like, that's how I'm going to sell things. And I'm going to be a Rumble Kong while I sell my client, who's a cool cat, solar as avatars. Like, that, we're not scared of that. And that may not happen,
Right.
but that's the fun. And what I love so much about these things, it's allowing people that maybe weren't allowed to be creative in their line of business or in their work, or they got out of their creative element maybe after they got out of college, and it's bringing everyone into this like amazing circle where you're allowed to think, and you're allowed to dream, and you're allowed to be creative. And what we do at Better Earth is like we're not copying anybody. We're not looking at another company and saying, hey, how can we be kind of like them? We'd love to be a little bit like them. It's like, no, we want to create it for ourselves. We want to create what solar is going to be in the future. So when people look at Better Earth in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, they're like, yeah, Better Earth does everything. What did they do first? It's like, oh, they did door-to-door solar first? Damn, that's cool. Like, that's where we're trying to take the brand. And, what's awesome is having our entire team share that same similar mindset of, like, there's nothing that can really stop us. If we always kind of really go after the big-time goals and big-time dreams, like, having a Bored Ape isn't a dream anymore. Like, we have a Bored Ape. We're going to ape into solar. We're going to use it in ways that people can't even imagine yet. And that's just going to be like one of our forays into it, because I foresee a lot of impact that we're going to be able to make both in IRL, in the real world, and in the metaverse as our company that has a great effect on people. Yeah. And we're already doing that through Give Power. We're donate. We talked about this. We donate $40 per job, and it's like, how can we keep having a bigger and bigger and bigger impact? And one of the cool things about the metaverse is it brings everybody together quicker, and we can be more creative and figure out how to solve bigger problems faster and impact more people. And that's what really, really drives me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what's going on all the time, and it's a crazy, crazy industry, but it's exciting that we get to be at the forefront of it. Just like we're trying to innovate in the solar industry, we're able to innovate within this metaverse, and we're able to just experiment. It's something that's brand new. Nobody really knows 100% what's happening. So it's cool to just be in the beginning of it and figuring it out as we go. I'm stoked. I can't wait to see what happens next. I know being with you guys and our company and our team, like, we're going to make some magic happen, and we're going to be sitting here looking at this podcast, be like, yeah, dude, we did it. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, and kind of beyond that, back into kind of what we're doing today is like the impact we're able to have. I think it's just it's amazing that we've got a chance to lead this industry. In the residential space, of course, like, we're not doing commercial. We're only in the U.S. We're only in a few states. But our mentality is like, we want to be the big voice. We want to answer the tough questions. We want to be involved in what's going to happen in the future. And the metaverse kind of allows you to have that creative element that keeps you interested. I know it's a good kind of getaway for me to kind of go in there and explore, and it brings up interesting ideas or factors that I can bring back to Better Earth and kind of run by Trace. And him and I might think it's a really good idea, and then I run it by some other people, and they're like, yeah, I don't know yet. But we keep prospecting, and I think that's the beauty in our company, but then also with our sales team, is they get to have a life outside of their job by working with Better Earth, and they get to be creative. They get to think. They get to establish, maybe figure out what their why is, or build upon what it already is, and use solar as an amazing vehicle to get them there.
Yeah, 100%. And I think as far as figuring out what people's whys are, what drives them, that's the thing I'm so interested in when I talk to everybody on our team, whether it's employees, whether it's on the sales side, whether it's partners we bring in. It's like, why are you doing this? Why are you getting up every day? Why are you partnering with us? Why are you building with us? Why are you joining our company? How can we help you get to what you want? When we did that Summer Olympics goal, some people wanted a car, some people wanted crypto, NFTs, cash, vacation. Some people wanted just more time one-on-one with the executives, and then some people literally were like, hey, I want to build a foundation. I want to build a charity. So to be able to give people a platform where they can actually go and get what they want in life and truly believe in it, and we get to have an interest in that, I think that's really cool, and that's something that a lot of companies don't do, and they're scared of that. It's like, hey, if you're here in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, it doesn't matter to me, but while you're here, let us help get you to where you want to be in life.
Yeah, and I know you're one of the most generous people I've ever met, and you invest into our team, if it's with your time or with your money or just with your experience too. you're constantly engaging with our team to take them on, trips. You're buying them Airbnbs. You're investing in the team always out of your own pocket. Tell us a little bit about like how that just makes a lot of sense to you. You don't ask for anything in return. You just do it, and you've always done it since the first time I ever met you.
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, best investment is in yourself always. Number two, like crypto, metaverse, this and that. The best investment is in your business, and so that's kind of what fuels me, and to be able to do that. But I think ultimately, I don't know. I just ever since a young age, man. Like I grew up, like I said, with a lot of family from Boston, people that didn't have a lot of money, and I saw people with a lot of money. So I kind of have a little bit of a sentimental, softer heart when it comes to that. Like seeing people struggle if they need something, and I just know for myself, like I'm gonna have an abundance of wealth and experiences and opportunities that like money's not scarce to me when it comes to that. I'm like, I'll give it. If somebody needs it or they're in a situation where I can help and I can have that impact, like that's why I wanted money. I've always wanted money to have freedom, but I've wanted to have money to be able to help who I want and do what I want when I want. So to be able to do that is the ultimate goal for me for money. It's not just to have it, to have nice things, like, still humbly drive my Honda. I need a new car here soon, but it's like, hey, if I can invest that in somebody that helps them out, and now all of a sudden that's going to transform them or that's going to put them in a better position, like that's always super rewarding for me.
Yeah,
I guess it's a little selfish for me, like it's a feel good thing to do to help people, and I know it's cliche, but it's like you get everything you want in life by helping other people get what they want. And when you really understand that, it kind of transforms. It's like, I used to just want to be the best sales rep and just sell the most. Now it's like, how do I create and how do I help people literally get the best results possible? And that's what's fulfilling for me. It's like, we got guys like Chance that come and do that. I'm like, man, how can I help you build your team? How can I help you get what you want? It's like, that's ultimately what will fulfill you at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think that's a really cool thing about our company is we're always trying to establish what our team's why is first and kind of build upon that. And I think you share a similar why to me. It's just impacting people positively is a big part of our why. It's why we get along really, really well. It's just like, it doesn't matter what's going on. It's like if someone else needs something, we're all in. And you get that for free on your first day. Like if you need energy put into you and you're deserving of that energy, you're gonna get a lot of energy here. And I know you give more energy than you probably even have available. And I'm always just really, it's awesome to see from my side, and also lets me know on days that maybe I'm struggling. I worked insane. I'm like, dude, Mikey's getting after it. Like I see what you're doing, and I think everyone else does in the company. It's an inspiring, and it's energy. Gives me energy to see you giving your energy, and it's just like a circle. It all comes back, and it's what's really cool is our circle's growing immensely. Where do you want to go? Like 2022, obviously we're expanding the company. Like what's the next like 5-10 for Mikey Cavaleri looking like?
5-10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be, in all the states, all the markets we can. Top, obviously we're the fastest growing, but we want to be the number one residential installer, and I think that's from all fronts, not just size, not just revenue, not just those metrics, but also it's like, are we actually the best? Do we create that best platform, that best experience? I think we're going to judge ourselves more off that than just off of the number basis. But if we can hit both at the same time, I think we've done what no other company's done, and we've expanded to that level with maintaining that quality and that growth. From there, commercial, big time. So I want to get involved in commercial solar massively. I'm super intrigued in that, and I think just connecting with a lot of business owners and a lot of my customers that I got along with really well were business owners or VPs or people high up in their companies out in California. So I enjoy having conversations with other people in business, and I think it's easier to sell and work with those people. So as far as Better Earth goes, number one installer, not just on revenue, but also quality experience platform-wise, and then getting very heavily involved in commercial. And by that point, we'll be global. And then by that point, we'll be creating a platform as well. Like a big thing I'm passionate about is investing your wealth so you have it, you can get passive income and help out you and your future family, and creating platforms where anybody that I'm around can invest with me and get involved in what I'm doing. And eventually I think I'm a little bit of an entertainer at heart. That's why I have so much fun with those Tuesday calls. So I want to be in a position that I can MC events and own restaurants, hotels one day, and just kind of be like a spokesman for different businesses and things I believe in. I mean, there's a lot that's happening in the world right now that I don't agree with, and I'm very passionate about it. And I want to use my social media more to do it, but I understand the brand and where I have to go and where I have to play. But there's a lot that I want to get done, and I think I have a strong voice. I think we all do at the end of the day, and I want to use that voice to create the impact that I believe that I can, in life, because I'm going to die one day, and you might as well stand up for what you believe in.
Yeah, I love that. I would love to stay at a Mikey Cavaleri hotel, knowing your hotel prowess.
Yeah,
That's true.
What would the mini bar have in it?
Oh, just juices, water, don't worry, just juices and water, probably. Yeah. No, yeah. It's an interesting story with the hotels because I for 5 years I literally slept on a bed on a floor. I didn't have anything else with it besides I lived with my girlfriend for like 4 or 5 months. She made the room all nice and it freaked me out. I was like, I can't deal with this, But I believe that if my room was too nice, that I would get like lazy and I wouldn't work. And I was so hard on myself to be successful. And I was like, I can't allow any distractions in my life. That I developed this passion of traveling and staying in hotels because I would go in and the rooms would be so nice and so lavish and the service and the experience. And I just thought that was really cool. Like I'm always inspired by good service. I think that as humans at the end of the day, like that's something that's really cool. Like if you treat other humans with admiration, respect, care, like that is cooler than just having money, like that doesn't matter. It's like, how do you treat people at the end of the day? And that's why I love nice hotels. I love the hospitality space. It's like, how do you treat people? What experience can you provide people? Because ultimately, I think that's what life's all about is those unique experiences that you have with people. So I think I could do a damn good job at that one day.
Yeah, I agree.
What would you call it?
Well, the Cavaleri Hotel, of course.
Naturally.
Yeah, well, we'd have to make sure the Cavaleri Hotel is LEED certified. Being in the sustainability space, like we're at Better Earth, one of the things that's like beyond inspiring to me is like just knowing that every element in a hotel or in a home or a building can be like retrofitted, or just there's a better way to do it than there's the best way to do it, and there's gonna be a future amazing way to do it. And I know like impact is huge for you. It's huge for me. It's huge for our company at Better Earth. We're a huge Give Power partner. By the end of the year, we're going to donate over $100,000 to Give Power. We earned a trek in Nepal coming up in the spring to actually go install solar either on a school or a hospital or another building within one of the towns that they choose for us to bring them an actual like electrified grid where they haven't had it before to go along with the clean water that they haven't had before. And as some people might know out there, like clean water is the #1 killer in the world. And every time someone at Better Earth sells solar, a partner of ours sells solar, we donate $40 to Give Power to really have a huge impact beyond the homeowner impact and the personal impact, but kind of out there in these other countries around the world.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that charity. I didn't know about Give Power until we got into solar, and I saw it, and the impact was it was tremendous. My dad is like engineer in wastewater treatment, so I knew a lot about that. And kids I played soccer with in high school had a charity called Soap to Save. Every bar of soap you bought, they gave to children in need, like 2 bars of soap, because like staying clean water was like the #1 killer, like you said. It's crazy, like what we take for granted, just like water. If you saw me on the podcast, I'm probably drinking. I can't stop drinking water. So, yeah, it's interesting, man. The things that we take for granted at the end of the day, and I always try to keep that in perspective of like, whether I'm having a bad day, whether I'm dealing with this, it's like, so many people are dealing with so many things that one thing I struggled with for a while is just being grateful. But every day I'm like, I wake up to be grateful to have my health, have access to all these things and be able to get up and go after my dreams, man. That's why I love America. That's why I love the opportunity we have. And a lot of people in the world, like, they just don't have it. Like, we don't have it bad. Everybody's out here complaining left and right. Like, I feel strongly about a lot of things, but I think we got to realize how grateful we are to live in the United States and have the opportunity, like, to film this podcast, to go after our dreams, to be able to create wealth and impact that most people can't even fathom because they're trying to figure out where their next cup of water is going to go or when they're going to be able to clean themselves. So when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, man, it's like, holy shit, like I've got it good. I've got it easy. All the personal problems I've had, everything that most of us deal with, it's all up here, If you can get out of your own head and stop feeling bad about yourself, you realize how blessed you are. So like that's what kind of drives me always. I just try to think bigger of like, who can I impact? Who can I think about that's going to drive me and to leave an impact and actually be able to help people? And we have that opportunity every day, which is special.
Yeah. It's an amazing thing to think about when you think about the big picture and how big of an impact we are already making, but where we're going to really be able to take this thing because I know each of us have things that are kind of close to our hearts and impacts we want to make beyond what we're doing today, and we're using this vehicle to do so. Hopefully this podcast evolves. This is going to maybe be our Better Earth studio here soon. Yeah. We'll be doing more podcasts together. Hopefully having more people attend and watch and creating a bigger impact just on our sales opportunity at Better Earth to expand our real why, and that's impacting, everyone in the most positive fashion we can.
Absolutely.
100%, man. Appreciate you guys.
Cool.
Yeah, and this episode was brought to you by Bored Ape
Yacht Club.
What number is our Bored Ape?
I actually don't know the number.
It's in
of
our
Bored
text
Ape,
group.
but it's one of two pink captains.
One of two pink captains.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's cool.
Okay. I think we're...
Huh?
96,
Bored Ape
84.
9684.
96-84. So
96,
the Gators National Championship, the first one, and the last Raiders Super Bowl.
Wow.
96-84. So it was written in the stars for us to have that Bored Ape.
Nice poll.
Thank you. It's kind of embarrassing, 84.
Yeah.
Raiders are pretty weak.
That's
one of our goals is to own the Raiders, so that's our why. But we never end the podcast very well, and I think it's part of our shtick. So
correct.
We're going to keep ending this podcast. Troy maybe have already cut it.
Yeah.
So if I'm still
it's
talking,
it's gonna be a fade to black type situation.
On Troy, yeah.
Let's do it after I'm like 100%, and we should end it a good way, in a good way, and be like, yeah, man, appreciate you having on. Any last words?
This just became very meta.
No, I don't have any more questions for you. I think you did it all. I have no more interest in learning more on this podcast, maybe on a future podcast.
I'm
kind of tapped out
of learning about Mikey. It's been a lot.
Me too.
Yeah, it has been a lot.
Sucks.
It's about time for an espresso martini.
That's true.
And maybe we'll go to the Hard Rock to play some roulette.
I'm not going to the Hard Rock. All right, end podcast.